Welcome to the Bishop Stortford Community Podcast, the show where we shine a light on the incredible businesses, community leaders, and local legends that are shaping our town. I'm your host, James O'Donnell, and today we are joined by Chloe Ribeiro, the maternity lead for the Maternity and Neonatal Voices Partnership. Great to have you on the show, Chloe.
Thank you. Great to be here.
For those of us who don't know you and what you do, can you explain?
Yeah, absolutely. So I, as you say, am the maternity lead for the Maternity and Neonatal Voices Partnership. So basically, we are a group of volunteers who have used the maternity and neonatal services at PAH in Harlow, Princess Alexandra Hospital. And we work together to gather feedback. We speak to other people who have used the services about their experiences, what was good, what could have been better, what kind of stood out for them. And we work with the staff at the hospital to improve the services that they offer. So we kind of act like a critical friend, a service user voice, making sure all those voices are listened to, and the maternity and neonatal services are shaped with those experiences, with that feedback, with those people at heart, and as the most important as they're using the services. So I'll go along to meetings with the hospital, kind of those high level strategic meetings to speak on behalf of service users. So I'll often kind of just bringing up those questions like, okay, we're looking at a new guideline of induction of labour, or we're looking at cesarean sections, or, infant feeding, or whatever that may be. I'm saying, and I'll often just bring up that point of, oh, have we thought about this service user's experience? Have we thought about how would that be for somebody who's got autism, or how would that be for somebody who's a refugee, or something like that? Those groups who often won't feel able to speak up for themselves, or won't have those tools, won't know how to kind of go about that. I think especially with refugee groups, you're talking about a whole different healthcare system, so they won't know when to flag if something hasn't been how it should be, or something like that. So I just kind of will raise those voices, speak with the hospital staff about that, and I hope that makes sense.
It's a vital feedback loop that needs to happen. I'm guessing tens of thousands of people in Stortford have through one way or another experienced that service. So it's so important. But practically, when you say you're listening to people and you're having these meetings, where might you be doing this?
So we do a lot on social media. A lot of it is on our social media. So we've got our social media pages. So we've got Instagram and our Facebook page, and we've also got a Facebook group where parents can join when they're expecting. They can stay on the group as long as they want, and we'll often have questions on there. We have questions around induction, or cesarean. Oh, I've got an elective cesarean and I'm waiting to hear the date that it's going to be, or something like that. Does anybody know how long? Does anybody know kind of what time I should expect to hear back about that? Or just those little questions and things like, oh, I've got an appointment, I don't know where I need to go, I'm not sure how to get there, what is parking like at the hospital? Just those little questions that you almost either don't ask in your midwife appointment, or don't remember to, or aren't sure about. And you can and also the interesting thing actually locally is we're cross-border here. So Bishop Stortford, massively cross-border. I think it's about 60% will use PAH, but actually it might be that there are 40% of the people who are using the services at PAH are from Hearts and they're not ESSEX, something like that.
Yeah.
So we have those added issues. So for example, if somebody's got a community midwife with the Lister team who are, East and North Hearts, which is quite often the case around Bishop Stortford, they might not be able to answer all the questions that are very much specific to Princess Alexandra and to the actual hospital. So those little questions that, either they've not asked the midwife, or the midwife hasn't known the specific answer for. So we use the Facebook group a lot for that. And we have our bi-monthly meetings with the hospital. That's that chance for those service users to give that feedback, to ask questions directly to the trust. It's just having that space where they can ask that. We go on site once a month. So we go on site, I walk around, I show my face, I give out our leaflets. I just say, look, this is who we are, this is what we're doing. I'm here to say hello. If you've got any feedback, get in touch, let us know. If you've got any questions, I'll give, the contact details and stuff like that. We also have listening events sometimes, something that we're trying to do a little bit more. And it's just that opportunity for service users to talk about their experience. So we've done that quite often at the mosque in Harlow. We've gone along with some of our leaflets and just kind of been there and just said, look, tell us about your experience, what was good, what worked well. We've had a lot of feedback about that. Service users saying, look, actually they didn't understand this side of the culture or this thing that I actually really needed, and that was really important to me. And off the back of that, we've had staff doing some cultural competency training, just to be able to get staff understanding why those things are important and looking at actually that individualized care. So we've got a guideline and this is the way the hospital tends to do this, but what about these people? What about when this needs to happen? Like changing that as a result of that. We're aiming, this is very much a work in progress, working with a group of volunteers and limited time and resources, but we want to try and get into those baby groups, baby sensory groups, prime time, those groups where you've got those new parents who can just say, oh, actually this worked really well for me, or actually no, this was really tricky and I didn't, I don't know where to kind of air that feedback. So yeah, there's a number of different places we are and we want to get involved more, really. So yeah,
I suppose with the particularly in Bishop Stortford and also all the new developments that are happening around that are going to impact PAH. Listen to me, I sound like an NHS staff now saying PAH. The population has changed significantly, and the diversity of people that you see now, must historically be very different to what Bishop Stortford, Sawbridgeworth, Harlow was.
Definitely.
How are you kind of integrating all of those different voices together?
Yeah, it's definitely a challenge. It's definitely a challenge, but it is massively our priority. I'm very aware that I'm white and middle class and don't speak for the majority. And I'm actually, that's why we're actively linking up with these groups and trying to make sure we are listening to those voices, because otherwise we're not, those services aren't being shaped with those people at heart. So recently, actually, I've linked up with Integration Support, who work across West Essex, and they work to help refugees, asylum seekers and migrants to integrate into society. And so they have different groups. They've kind of got English classes, conversation classes, things like that. And so we've linked up with them to try and say, look, this is who we are. This is what we're here for. Any feedback, send it our way. Send it over in your language and we'll translate it. That's one of the things. We've linked up as well with Rainbow Services in Harlow, who work to reduce like the effects of deprivation and stuff. So linking up with traveller communities there, asking them what's their feedback, what's important to them, understanding the differences there as well. Neurodiverse communities as well. So we go on site, as I say, I go on site once a month, but we also do something called the 15 steps. So we're reaching out to we did this recently with somebody from Rainbow's Services. So we looked at it from as a neurodivergent person and someone from traveller community. So we go on site, we take 15 steps in, we look at the environment, we look at, are the staff friendly? Are they welcoming? Is the environment clean? What does it smell like? Do I feel safe here? All of those different aspects that actually it's somebody coming in from outside. It's not myself, who actually I'm quite used to the environment now. It's not new. I won't notice those things. Whereas this lady, Rachel, who came with us, she noticed so much. There was one moment when she walked in and she stopped. I'd carried on walking. She stopped. She goes, it smells, what's this smell? Smells. And it wasn't that it smelled awful. It wasn't that it smelled great. It was just a specific smell that she noticed. I didn't notice, but that's why it's so important to kind of have that those different eyes to be able to look at all of those different experiences. And we're trying to bring in different people to do that. So we're listening to those voices and making sure that all of that diversity is represented.
So you're doing a lot of this, going out and speaking to people. But before we came on, you said that you're looking at engaging with more volunteers to do that. What kind of work or volunteering are you would someone do if they were interested in supporting?
Yeah, so we've got a group of volunteers, and we've got a WhatsApp group. So that's where I'll put the updates and say, look, we need somebody to come to baby rhyme time. Can somebody come along? Can somebody, even just the groups that they're already going to, the baby groups, the play groups, the baby sensory, can you take some leaflets? Can you chat to people about us? Can you, do something that kind of incorporates that into your day to day, so it's not too much effort, it's not too much work, you're not going out of your way that much, but it makes a big difference. Putting a poster up at a GP surgery, those kind of things, big helps. A lot of what we have for volunteers doing, getting involved in meetings with the hospital. So some of our volunteers have got really involved. We had one who's got really involved with the induction of labour work. So there's been a lot of work going on in reducing delays in induction of labour. So we've had one of our volunteers who's an antenatal teacher working on that and kind of saying, look, actually, this is what people are saying. This is what's important to them. Are we looking at this side of induction? So there's meetings with the hospital. We're looking at guidelines as well. So staff will send over guidelines. I'm going to use induction because I've used it a lot. Looking at a new guideline for induction. Does this make sense? Is the language easy to understand, or is it full of medical terms? Is it full of acronyms? That kind of stuff. How does it make you feel when you're reading it? Is there bits you don't understand? Is there bits that we think, actually, this needs to be worded in a different way because it is potentially triggering for a certain group of people? So, that's the main things that volunteers will be involved with. Even in terms of the engagement as well, though, we've got, so linking up with the integration support, having a volunteer going along to something like that. We've got somebody today actually who's gone along to Bump to 5 in Harlow. So they are kind of a little bit like the local baby bank, helping out families in need. And they've got a uniform shop there. So we've got a volunteer who's gone along with some of our leaflets and just said, look, this is what we're doing. If you've got any feedback, let us know. Please talk to people, let them know who we are, what we do, so that they can, raise awareness about our work. Because if we're not raising that awareness, then people don't know we exist, can't therefore feedback. We can't therefore listen to those voices. So it's all lots of ways.
Fantastic. Well, I hopefully from doing this podcast and being out there's going to be people that are listening to this that have either gone through, Princess Alexandra, or they know someone. They're certainly going to know someone who has, and so they can get involved and have that kind of conversation. What's the best way for people to kind of reach out and speak to you, Chloe?
So social media. There's always somebody. We've got a social media lead who's amazing and a volunteer. She's excellent. Social media, drop us a message on there. I normally say, can you drop me an email? Just because then I'm on the laptop and that's just easier for me. But social media is probably the easiest initial contact, and we'll always get back to you pretty speedily there. Email as well. That's on our leaflets and on our social media. Come along to our bi-monthly meetings as well. We've got one this evening, so we have them every other month. And that's just that chance to kind of touch base, link up, send your feedback, speak directly to the hospital as well. But I think social media is probably the easiest.
Great. Well, what we'll do is we'll put links to that in the show notes and on all the socials, so that if anybody knows of someone that wants to have that kind of conversation and get involved, they can drop a line through and share that feedback. As I said, because there must be tens of thousands of people that have got certainly stories to tell.
Yes, absolutely.
That are going to be useful. Thanks for that, Chloe. All right, are you ready for some Stortford Spotlight questions?
I'm ready. Come at me.
Wonderful. Today's podcast is brought to you by a great local business helping people take back their time in Bishop Stortford. If your weekends are getting swallowed by cleaning instead of time with your family, I get it. As a dad of 2 young boys, I know how fast those moments can go, and I've been let down by cleaners before. That's why I use Time For You Cleaning. They're reliable, friendly, and give you one less thing to worry about. If you want your time back, head to timeforyou.cleaning and let them know the podcast sent you. Get back your precious time and support local. Right, back to the show. Great. These are 3 fast questions that we ask every guest that comes on to the podcast. Let's get into it. Okay, first question. If you could put one sentence on a billboard in Jackson Square, what would it say and who needs to hear it the most?
It would say, listen to women. Listen to women. I think everybody needs to hear that. And I think it just applies, for me, it applies massively to maternity, to what we're doing. You know, a lot of people's experiences could be so much better if we start listening to women. And I think it goes for everyone, really.
There's lots of layers to that answer as well. Yeah. I agree wholeheartedly. Question 2. Where do you go in Stortford that you secretly hope never gets too popular?
See, this is a really difficult one because it has got very popular, but I think that shows how good it is. But I'd have to say the toaster. Yeah, it's great.
What about the toaster?
Well, the food is just, amazing. I've never been disappointed. The food is always excellent. Service is amazing as well. They're great. They're really great there.
Fantastic. We'll link up to the toaster if I haven't popped in.
You haven't? Oh, you
no,
should.
No, so I will definitely give that a go based on your recommendation. Thanks.
Especially the breakfast.
What's your go-to for breakfast?
My go-to is their like full English. I think it's the meaty one that they say.
Sounds good.
Really
Sounds
good.
Thanks, Chloe. And finally, who's doing something special in town that more people need to know about?
So I would say there's quite a few, but I'd say Valerie. Valerie is the founder of Women of Grace, which is a charity that is anti-FGM and gender-based violence. So she supports people, she raises awareness, and she just is an absolute powerhouse. She's been to the UN conference and she's excellent. So I think more people need to know about her and link up with her. Yeah, she does a lot of work with refugees and asylum seekers and stuff as well. Amazing woman.
Well, we'd love to, you shine a light on the work that Valerie's doing there. We'd love to get her on the podcast to talk about that because I think it's so important.
I'll link you up with her.
That would be absolutely wonderful.
Amazing.
Thanks for that. And finally, again, where is the best place for people to find you online? So
our social media tag is West Essex MNVP, and we're on Instagram, Facebook. We're on some other social medias, but they're a little bit more neglected. So Instagram and Facebook are the best.
It's difficult keeping up across all of them, but we'll put links to them online so that wherever people like hanging out, they can find you and find out a little bit more about the work that you're doing. That's awesome. Chloe, that's a wrap. Thanks for joining us today on the Bishop Stortford Community Podcast.
Thanks for having me.
Not a problem. If you enjoyed this episode, the best way to support the show is to hit follow, leave a quick review on YouTube, Apple, Spotify, wherever you're watching or listening to this, and share it on your socials. Maybe share it with someone in town who you think should get involved with what Chloe's doing, maybe have some feedback for Chloe, share it with them so that they can find out a little bit more about the work she does and start a conversation there. And if you've got a local legend like Valerie who's recommended today that you think we should feature on the podcast, drop me a message or tag them in the comments below so we can shine a light on the work that they're doing in the community. That's it from me. Go and support something local today, like the toaster, why not? And make Bishop Stortford a great community. Have a great day. If you run a business built on trust, but your website's full of stock photos and silence, we need to talk. True Tone Testimonials helps coaches, consultants, and other service providers turn real client stories into high-converting video content. No scripts, no fluff, just honest words from real people who already love what you do. They're professionally filmed and ready to drop onto your site or into your socials. Head to truetonetestimonials.card.co. Let your clients do the selling. Okay, support local. Let's get back to the show.